Hey everybody, welcome to my very first YouTube video, and I'm filming this and I'm still not sure if I'm going to actually upload it. So if you're watching this, that means I did. So that also means that if you will like, share, subscribe, that's gonna help me out a lot. So what got me kind of convinced to want to do this video thing is I was scrolling through my Facebook marketplace, and I look on there every once in a while for tools or actually lumber for my business. You know, sometimes you can find a good deal. But I was scrolling through the other day, and there was a local guy who has a sawmill, and he had to cut these beautiful maple cookies. And what a cookie is, it's instead of cutting let's say you have a log like this and you cut it this way, those are called slabs. But if you take that tree and you turn it like this and you cut it this way, those are called cookies. And he was selling these beautiful cookies, and I know the price range because my local place has them. I've bought them before. I've bought them from local people. And he was charging 2 to 3 times the amount that he should be. And it just bugged me because people are actually buying these, DIYers, hobbyists, people who just want to make a really cool table on the weekends. You know, they're buying these not really knowing what they're about to step into. And so today's video is all about beware of buying wood from your local sawmill guy. So we're gonna get into it. Here's some things I want to talk about. We want to talk about what is green wood, why you have to be concerned about the moisture content. You have to be concerned about wood movement. You have to be concerned about fungus and bugs in the wood. You have to make sure that you're stacking it right. It's a process called stickering. The price of wood, and what is kiln dried, air dried versus freshly green cut wood. So we're gonna start out at the top. So green wood is just what they call a tree that's falled, and right away, a guy with a sawmill or a chainsaw mill, doesn't matter how you do it, they cut it up into lumber. Whether it's usable lumber to make tables, slabs, or cookies, that's called green wood. And it's fresh. You know, it still has a lot of moisture in it. A lot has to be done to it to make it workable responsibly if you want the best outcome. See, when you cut a tree down, it's packed with moisture. I bought some wood from a guy a year and a half ago who has a kiln. A kiln is a building that you put wood in and you turn it on, and it uses a mixture of heat and air flow to pull all the moisture out of wood to dry it. So I went up to see him, and he has a kiln, and he was pulling gallons and gallons and gallons of water out of this wood. And that wood that he was doing that to had been sitting around for like a year, and moisture was escaping that whole time. So just imagine how much more moisture is in this wood when it's just freshly cut. A ton. And what that moisture does is it's going to make that wood, as that moisture evaporates and comes out of your piece, it's going to make your wood move. It's going to make it crack. It's going to make it twist. It's going to make it bow or cup. These are all things that can happen to wood as moisture comes out of it, and it's normal. That's not a bad thing. That's normal. That's what wood is supposed to do. So it's not bad that does it, but that's normal. But if you're planning on buying a freshly cut green wood slab or wood or something to build a table, it's gonna look good for 6 months, maybe a year, but then after that, it's gonna get jacked up. And it's not your fault. You might have sanded it all the right way. You might have put the best base on it. You might have put the best finish on it. But that moisture in the wood is gonna do what it does, and there's nothing you can do or say about it. So moving on, and then we have to worry about bugs and funguses being inside the wood. There are certain beetles that live in wood. There's fungus that can get in trees, and these these funguses and bugs can leave really cool effects in wood. That's a video for another day. But if you don't kiln dry or air dry your lumber for a long time, those are going to stay in there. So you take a bug infested piece of wood, you make a table out of it, and you put it in your living room, your kitchen, or whatever. Eventually those bugs are going to come out and they're going to infest anything else that's around it. So you're putting at risk your house, your other furniture, by putting this wet green wood inside your house. You don't want that. A story from the other time, I actually bought some wood that wasn't kiln dried or air dried, and luckily, well, not luckily, could have been worse though, I put that in my shop, and those bugs that were in that wood got into my other good wood. And so I had to throw out all the wood I'd bought that was infested with bugs, and then I had to throw out the wood that I had before that got infested with bugs. So it's a real deal. It's not a good problem to have. So, and then let's say you do buy this wood and you are okay with letting it sit around for a long time. The rule of thumb for green wood is for every inch of thickness, you want it to sit around either in your garage or your basement or somewhere where it can draw moisture out. Each inch, you have to let it sit for a year. So most of this wood that people are cutting up are 1 inch to 2 inches thick. So you need to let it sit for at least 1 to 2, maybe a little bit more years before you can use it and have the best results. I mean, of course you can use it whenever you want, but you're gonna have failure in your piece of wood. So 1 to 2 years is generally the rule of thumb. And you have to stack it correctly. It's this process called stickering. So it's where you take 2 smaller pieces of wood, you lay it down, and you usually go 16 to 18 inches apart from each other. So you lay 16 inches, and then you lay your wood on that, and then you put more stickers, pieces of wood that your lumber, your slabs, your cookies, they sit on. And so you're stacking them, and then the air that comes through there is what's pulling that moisture out and drying it. But if you don't stack it right, if you just lay it up against a wall, if you lay it on your concrete floor, it's going to twist, it's going to cup, it's going to move in a way that you don't want it to move. And when it comes to fixing that wood movement, when you go to flatten it to make it usable, you're going to have a lot of waste. So your 2 to 3 inch lumber is now going to go down to 1 inch once you fix all that wood movement. So you bought all that wood, and now it's going to be gone. So there's a process called stickering that if you don't do it right, you're going to regret it. Now, this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way when I first started all this. I didn't know what kiln dried was. I didn't know what air dried was. I just thought you went to your local home store and bought it off the rack. But I soon learned that those prices at your local home store are sometimes 6 to 7 times more expensive than lumber, the same wood, at your local store. I mean, at your local lumber store, like a mom and pop place or some place that just sells lumber to people like us, like woodworkers or DIYers or hobbyists. And so it definitely is worth going to check those prices out. You're gonna save tons of money. And even if you're not doing it for profit, if you're just a hobbyist, you need to check those out because the prices are so much less than your box stores. But the good thing is that the lumber you get at your local home store or your local lumber yard, usually 95% probably of the time, that lumber that they're selling you is kiln dried, air dried, or vacuum sealed type dried. There's different ways to dry wood, to draw that moisture out, to kill all the bugs, to kill all the funguses. There's different ways to do it. But some of these local sawmill guys, they just cut it right up, post pictures on Facebook or on Craigslist or wherever they're posting it, and they're trying to get you to buy that wood. But they're not telling you that it's green, or even if they do tell you it's green, you might not know what that means. And as a woodworker, as somebody who's doing this for a business, that's frustrating to me because I want you to not go to IKEA or to Walmart or something like that and get a generic piece of furniture. I want you to come to people like me and have me create a custom piece. And yeah, it's expensive to do it right and to do it well and to have it unique and one of a kind. But if you want to save a buck, you might think, I'm just going to buy this off of Facebook Marketplace, or I see this Craigslist guy, and I know a guy with a sawmill, and I'll just buy from him and I'll build my own table. I'll throw some legs underneath there, put some finish on there, and call it a day. Save hundreds, if not thousands. Yeah, you can do that, but it's not going to last. It's just not. If you want to buy that wood from that person and go get it and taking it to have kiln dried, or if you want to sticker it and air dry it for a couple years, then it'll be fine. It'll totally work okay. And there are places where you can go pay somebody to kiln dry your lumber. So it's doable, but a lot of these people aren't doing that. So I actually have 2 guys that own their own sawmills, and I buy stuff from them for 2 reasons. One, my friend Nathan at Out of the Woods Forestry, he's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So if you go to Out of Woods Forestry, if you look for him on any of those platforms, you'll be able to see he has his own sawmill and his own kiln. He does all of what I just talked about correctly. He lets stuff air dry as a log for a while, and then he cuts it up, and then he stickers it, and then he kiln dries it, and it draws all the bugs out, kills the bugs. If your tree has a fungus, it kills the fungus, and it makes all the wood safe to use, and the highest chances of not failing, okay? And then I have another friend up in Kentucky. He doesn't have a kiln, but he only chooses the best logs when he saws them up. He makes sure that they don't have the bugs in them, and then if they do, he doesn't saw them up. But when he saws up his lumber, his slabs, his cookies, whatever, he stickers them the right way, and he keeps them stickered and he keeps them covered, so that when it comes time to buy them, I know I don't have to worry about stuff cupping, warping, anything like that. So, to conclude, be careful who you buy your green wood from. There's nothing wrong with doing stuff yourself. You know, I encourage you. That's how I started. I started by making veggie stands for people's kitchens. And I didn't know that much at all. And so it's okay to have a starting point and make your own stuff. But I wish I would have had somebody telling me these things back then, so I didn't waste money, time, stress. It was frustrating to spend all that money and then to lose it because I didn't take better care of where I bought my stuff from. So if you're gonna buy stuff off Marketplace, Craigslist, or even if you just know a guy, ask him those questions. Ask him about moisture content. Ask him about how green it is. Ask him about how they sticker it. Ask him about if it's kiln dried, how long it's been air drying. And if these people don't know, or if you are uncomfortable with their answers, go somewhere else. There are lumber yards all over the place. If you're one of my friends in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a good one right over in Jeffersonville, Indiana. If you're somewhere around Knoxville, there's a couple good ones, especially Jeffrey's Woodworks, right out by Seymour, Knoxville line. They're awesome, and their stuff is all kiln dried. Then you can also go to Nate up at Out of Woods Forest. He's up in Kingsport, Tennessee. He has awesome work. Go check it out on YouTube. You're gonna love it. There's places everywhere. And if you're somewhere else in the United States, I have woodworker friends all over the United States, and they buy kiln dried lumber that's safe to use. So be careful who you buy from. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or go on Instagram and follow me there at Tito Wilson Designs, and you can DM me and ask me questions about this or that. One thing I didn't get into was price. If you run into a situation where you need to know if something's a good price or not, my friend Tommy in Nashville does it all the time. He messages me, hey, is this a good price on this lumber? And I'll be able to tell you, because I know the market value, the current market value for kiln dried lumber. I have that list. So if you have a guy selling you stuff and it's green, it's not going to be worth as much. He or she shouldn't be charging as much as kiln dried lumber. It's how it is. Anyway, in conclusion, be careful who you buy from. Thanks for watching. If you stay tuned through it all, it's my first video. They'll get better. I'm new to this, so subscribe if you want more stuff like this. I'm going to be talking about woodworking stuff, family, politics, faith, friendships, relationships, all kinds of stuff. It's not just going to be woodworking. It's just going to be my life and stuff that comes up. Kind of like a vlog, I guess you should call it. I guess I should call it a vlog. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you. Message me if you have any questions.